1. Boil water advisory: what residents of New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley need to know. 2. Breaking boil water advisory for Crystal, Golden Valley and New Hope, essential guidelines. 3. Boil water advisory in Crystal, Golden Valley, and New Hope, what you need to know. 4. Water outage sparks temporary disruption in Crystal, Golden Valley, New Hope. 5. Boil water advisory in New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley, what you need to know. 1. Boil water advisory: what residents of New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley need to know. A sudden water crisis rattled the residents of New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley on Sunday morning, sparking concern and confusion as a vital city resource was unexpectedly disrupted. Imagine waking up, turning on your faucet, and having to question whether your water is even safe. This is exactly what locals faced after an overnight mechanical failure. But here's where it gets controversial. Even with water service restored, the tap isn't yet considered safe to drink, and some community members are asking if city officials should have been better prepared. Here's what happened and what you need to know. Early Sunday, a malfunctioning valve inside the Golden Valley water tower led to an abrupt loss of water service for 3 Minnesota cities: Golden Valley, Crystal, and New Hope. Although emergency teams were able to repair the problem and restore water pressure relatively quickly, things weren't quite back to normal. The Joint Water Commission, responsible for overseeing water quality in the region, quickly announced a boil water advisory affecting all local residents. And this is the part most people miss: the advisory isn't just about taste or appearance. It's about safety. The advisory means you should not drink tap water, use it to brush your teeth, make ice, or prepare food, unless you've boiled it first. To properly disinfect your water, bring it to a full, rolling boil for at least 1 minute and then allow it to cool. Only after this process is it safe for consumption. For other household tasks, like showering, bathing, washing hands, doing laundry, or cleaning, the tap water remains usable as long as you avoid swallowing it. It might feel like overkill to some, but these precautions are designed to protect the most vulnerable members of the community, such as children, seniors, and those with weakened immune systems. The Minnesota Department of Health will conduct thorough safety tests before the advisory is lifted. Until that official green light is given, everyone is urged to follow the guidelines. And here's a tip for once the advisory ends: it's important to flush out your home's plumbing. Run water through faucets, ice makers, and drinking fountains. Toss out any ice cubes that were made during the advisory as a safety measure. But this situation also raises a bigger question: should our infrastructure be better equipped to prevent such disruptions? Some argue that these incidents are rare and handled well, while others believe cities should invest more in robust, fail-safe water systems. Where do you stand? Have you experienced a boil water advisory before? Do you trust the city's response in emergencies like this? Drop your thoughts, agreements, or disagreements in the comments below. Let's get the conversation going. 2. Breaking boil water advisory for Crystal, Golden Valley and New Hope, essential guidelines. A boil water advisory has been put in place for the communities of Crystal, Golden Valley, and New Hope, urging residents to refrain from consuming tap water unless it has been boiled for at least 1 minute during this period. Golden Valley, Minnesota. This advisory comes in response to a water supply disruption that occurred on Sunday morning. The city of New Hope reported via social media that the issue stemmed from a faulty valve in the water tower located in Golden Valley. The Joint Water Commission, which oversees water services for these 3 cities, has confirmed that water pressure has been restored. However, the Minnesota Department of Health, MDH, must verify the safety of the water before the advisory can be lifted. During the advisory, residents are strongly advised against using tap water for drinking, brushing teeth, making ice, or cooking unless it has been boiled. According to MDH guidelines, it is essential to bring tap water to a vigorous boil for 1 minute and then allow it to cool before using it. Once the advisory is lifted, residents will need to flush their indoor plumbing to ensure any potentially contaminated water is cleared from their systems. But here's where it gets controversial: many people may not realize the importance of following these guidelines strictly. What do you think? Is the response adequate, or should there be more proactive measures in place to prevent such disruptions? Share your thoughts in the comments. 3. Boil water advisory in Crystal, Golden Valley, and New Hope, what you need to know. Attention residents of Crystal, Golden Valley, and New Hope, a boil water advisory is now in effect following a water outage that occurred early Sunday morning. But here's where it gets controversial. The issue stemmed from a malfunctioning valve in the Golden Valley water tower, which occurred sometime Saturday night. The water pressure issue has been resolved, but the water will still require approval from the Department of Health before the advisory can be lifted. Testing was ongoing as of 12:35 p.m. on Sunday. In the meantime, residents should boil their water before drinking it, using it to brush their teeth, or cooking with it, or use a safe alternative like bottled water until the advisory is lifted. To ensure the water is safe to use, it should be brought to a rolling boil for 1 minute to kill bacteria, and then cooled before use. A statement will be issued when the advisory is lifted. And this is the part most people miss. The 3 cities operate a joint water commission, which manages a water supply, storage and distribution system for the communities. Do you think this joint system is effective, or should each city manage its own water supply? Let us know in the comments below. 4. Water outage sparks temporary disruption in Crystal, Golden Valley, New Hope. Imagine waking up to find your tap running dry. This is exactly what happened in Crystal, Golden Valley, and New Hope. But here's where it gets interesting. The culprit was a simple malfunction in a valve at the Golden Valley water tower. City officials have termed this situation a temporary disruption in water service, emphasizing that while inconvenient, it's not an insurmountable problem. On Sunday morning, New Hope officials provided an update, stating that crews were already on the scene working diligently to restore both water flow and pressure across the affected areas. Mayor Roslyn Harmon of Golden Valley echoed this sentiment, highlighting that her city's public works and fire departments were actively engaged in diagnosing the issue and working towards a swift resolution. One Golden Valley resident shared their experience with Bring Me the News, noting that their water supply was initially cut off entirely. However, by 9 a.m., they reported a partial recovery in water pressure, offering a glimmer of hope to others facing similar challenges. At 8:56 a.m., the trio of cities issued a boil water alert, advising all residents to use only boiled or bottled water for essential purposes such as drinking, making ice, brushing teeth, and food preparation. The recommendation was clear: if you choose to boil water, do so for a full 5 minutes to ensure its safety. By around 11:30 a.m., the cities announced that water pressure had been restored, bringing relief to many. However, the boil water advisory remained in place pending confirmation from the Minnesota Department of Health that the water was safe to consume. This incident underscores the critical importance of robust infrastructure and the need for quick response mechanisms in public utilities. As this story continues to develop, one can't help but wonder, how often do such issues occur, and what measures can be taken to prevent them in the future? Stay tuned for updates on this evolving situation. We encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. 5. Boil water advisory in New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley, what you need to know. Imagine waking up to find out that the water coming out of your tap might not be safe to drink. This is the shocking reality that residents in 3 Twin Cities suburbs, New Hope, Crystal, and Golden Valley, are facing right now. But here's where it gets concerning. A temporary disruption in water service has led to a boil water advisory, leaving thousands of people wondering what to do. The issue began when a malfunctioning valve in the Golden Valley water tower caused a disruption in service overnight, prompting authorities to take swift action. As of Sunday morning, crews were hard at work trying to restore water to the affected areas, with New Hope reporting that staff had fixed the loss of water pressure and were awaiting the green light from the Department of Health. But what exactly happened? According to New Hope Mayor John Elder, an altitude valve in the Golden Valley water tower inadvertently closed on Saturday night, triggering the chain of events. We are also investigating how this happened so that it won't happen again, he wrote on Facebook, reassuring residents that crews had reopened the valve by Sunday morning. So, what does this mean for residents? In the meantime, people are advised to use bottled water or boil their tap water for at least 1 minute before using it for drinking, cooking, or even brushing their teeth. And this is the part most people miss. It's not just about boiling water. Residents need to be aware of the potential risks associated with contaminated water. Officials recommend boiling the water for at least 1 minute and letting it cool before using it, and city staff will notify residents when the advisory has been lifted. At that point, authorities suggest people flush their building plumbing systems to ensure everything is working properly. But here's the question: how can we prevent such disruptions in the future? Is it a matter of infrastructure, maintenance, or something else entirely? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think the authorities are doing enough to prevent such incidents, or is there more that can be done? Paul Walsh of the Minnesota Star-Tribune contributed to this report, shedding more light on the situation. As the situation continues to unfold, one thing is clear: the safety of our drinking water is a top priority, and we need to be vigilant in ensuring that our water systems are functioning properly. So, let's keep the conversation going. What do you think is the best way to address this issue, and how can we work together to prevent similar disruptions in the future?